Where to start with Ulysses Themist? You'd think after spending so many years with him, I would know what to say. Ulysses Themist was a soldier and a scientist, a monster and a martyr, a friend and a father. They were someone who escaped so many bad endings and found one of the happiest I could imagine. Before he came into my life, he had done everything he could to redeem himself in the eyes of his friends. And that drive to better himself and the world never ceased. There wasn't a moment he wasn't doing something to further the lives of those around him. In the end, Ulysses got to be the storyteller he was always supposed to. He got to travel the world, sailing the seas, recording and recounting stories to anyone who would talk or listen. He watched the ocean build her city and helped it flourish where he could. He aided in rebuilding Elysium and filled its halls with new books and stories and myths. He officiated Wilkins and Marcus's wedding, which was a sight to see. He even sold Kelpin and all its associated franchises to the Tuscleys in full. And honestly, they ran that business far better than he ever could. Wanda's The Kelp Inn is still one of the most historic and popular places in New Seaside, and is still owned by the Tuscley family, almost 3 generations later. Not that Ulysses didn't help out, of course. Perhaps Fenris's urge to run businesses rubbed off on him over the years. Ulysses tried his best to make up for the time he never got to spend with Perseus. He even got to walk them down the aisle at their wedding, and I think cried more than she did. He never got to raise his child, but he made sure he was there for every moment he needed him in adulthood. Of course, that also extended to making himself available for any late-night medical calls or last-minute babysitting. When little Vea arrived in the household, he took any chance he got to spoil that kid. Despite Ray and Fenris's half-hearted protests, I think he was just glad to be part of Percy's family again. In the end, the family Ulysses found on the surface grew to so much more than he could ever have hoped. Warriors and researchers, land and sea, gods and patrons and vessels. And I'm so grateful to have been part of it myself. To have found him in the end. And to have spent that time with another of my kind. And I'm grateful he helped me find myself after so long alone. And more Telkin still, lingering on the coasts and waiting to be found. Ulysses Themist helped us know that we were not the last of the Telkin. Telkins live long lives. We're built to last under intense ocean pressure in the crushing depths, and Ulysses Themist spent every second of that long life as best he could, relishing in the second chance he had been given. And the best part about your friends and family being gods is that, well, there was a lot of life to spend with them. Ulysses did not become a god like so many of his loved ones. In truth, I don't think he would have wanted to. But he found immortality in his own way. After decades, centuries even, his name, attached to the stories he told and the cultures he shared, lives on. He is known throughout the world as friend of the gods and the chroniclers of histories. He lived, and he experienced great happiness, and in the end, as he always knew he would, he died. Not at the hands of the drowned, or guardians, or monsters, but peacefully at the hands of time. When he reached that old age, when his own tale was finished and the legacy he spread was truly cemented, Ulysses the storyteller died. He spent his life telling others the tales of the gods. And when he passed away, the gods told stories at his funeral. Some say when his name is mentioned in the years since, that he did ascend in the end. That a wandering old man with green skin and a gray beard will tell stories by the firelight in campsites, in inns, and on lonely roads. That this secret god waits in the shadows. That his glasses glint in the darkness with the promises of new tales. But I know that Ulysses Themist is not a god. They're just another spirit in Elysium, spending their afterlife with the love they lost, as he deserves. Granted, he is a spirit far too impatient to spend his eternity solely in paradise. One with far too much to say to stay only in one realm. So, if you see him, that wandering ghost of a long-lost storyteller, in a bar or a cafe, or a quiet campsite, wait a while and listen to his stories. Hear about the wars and the stars and the world's sisters, about men and monsters, myths and fables. Ask him, if you like, what the gods are busying themselves with these days, and watch him smile, for he most certainly knows, and he is always excited to tell the stories of his family.